Welcome back from Eau Claire on this split edition of Upfront. Jaron, fallout continuing this weekend, perhaps even intensifying over the failed tax relief deal after Assembly Speaker Robin Vos right here last week urged lawmakers to return to the Capitol and vote again. The deal passed the Assembly but failed in the state Senate after all 15 Senate Democrats joined 3 Republicans in rejecting the $1.8 billion plan using the state's projected surplus that would have delivered rebate checks, no tax on tips or overtime, reduced property taxes, and increased special education funding. In a statement Thursday, Senate Majority Leader Devin LeMahieu said the Senate would return to revote on the deal if 2 senators flipped from no to yes votes. And it follows what Senate Minority Leader Dianne Hesselbein told us Monday. Is there any scenario the Senate comes back and votes again?
Well, I talked to Senator LeMahieu, I think on Friday, and asked him if there was a chance, and he said absolutely not. So I believe that's his answer.
Do you want to come back?
You know, if there's something that we can get together and talk about a compromise, certainly we're open to something like that. We also want to see where the money is. This is all a projected surplus. So once we know if the money's going to be there or not, that's when we want to come back.
On this current deal, if it stayed in place, have you heard from any Senate colleagues that they have flipped or want to flip from a no vote to a yes?
I have not heard that.
What do you make of the poll? What do you tell folks who say, I really wanted this to pass?
You know, I think a lot of people in the state of Wisconsin are hurting. And I think that's one of the reasons why, this is important. When I was talking with Speaker Vos and Senator LeMahieu, I said, can we do the special education piece, get that part done? Is there a way we could try to look at our projections and maybe right-size this bill? And they were not open to any suggestions. So my door is always open for good conversation. Certainly the Senate Democrats have provided votes in the past to get something meaningful done, but we'll see what the final package is, if we come back again or not. At this time, it doesn't seem likely.
Did you collectively as Senate Democrats make the right decision on this?
I think we looked at what the projected deficit might be if this passed, and we're very worried about what's going to be happening. Gas is almost at $5 a gallon, and we're really worried about our financial future. Are we going to be in a recession or not? These are things that we're looking at in the future, trying to figure out what our finances are going to be.
What do you make of the governor saying this was a bad move for Democrats?
Well, the governor is certainly entitled to his position, and what I've said before, and I will say it again, Governor Evers is a good man. Governor Evers is a really great governor. We just disagree on this one issue. One issue out of like 99%, 100% of what we tried to get done. And we'll move on. The Democrats were a big tent family, and this is a family, and it was just something that we disagreed on.
The Legislative Fiscal Bureau did project a nearly $3 billion deficit with the plan, but that factored in no economic growth in the coming years, which hasn't happened since the Great Recession. Governor Tony Evers touring the state this past week for Dairy Month, joining with LeMahieu and Speaker Vos in urging lawmakers to return to the Capitol. Senator Hesselbein yesterday said absolutely not. The Senate is coming back. Is that the right move?
I don't know if that's the right move for her. She may feel that she has to. I'd say for kids and folks that are concerned about getting more affordability into their lives, that's not a good answer. But I know the speaker has been talking about it, and so we'll see what happens. But we could bring people back in a special session. But if there's no change in the Senate, there's no reason to drag in anybody into Madison to do it, which would be really unfortunate. It's unfortunate for kids, and it's not anything to do with Hesselbein or me or anybody else. It's about kids and affordability.
Have you talked with any Senate Democrats? Is anyone going to change their mind on this tax relief?
I have not, in any time recently, I have not. And I doubt if their leader is saying no way, my guess is it's going to be no way, because she controls, who's going to be head of the Joint Finance Committee on the Senate side. And I'm sure she's given promises there. She gives promises just like other leaders do. I haven't spent a lot of time doing that, but that's what happens in the legislature. And I'm sure she's got people wrapped around her finger by giving them jobs that they want.
With that, let's bring in WisPolitics editor J.R. Ross with his new reporting. J.R., good to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So you also talked with Republican Senator Pat Testin in recent days. So with what we've heard from Senators LeMahieu, Hesselbein, and even the governor, where do things stand right now?
Well, it depends. Are you going to see Devin LeMahieu go out and whip votes from the 3 members of his caucus who voted no? Are you going to see Governor Evers go out there and personally lobby Democrats in the Senate to switch their votes? If you see that, then maybe there's a path to getting this thing done. If you don't, then it's unlikely. And Chris Capania, for example, Talked to his office this week. Hey, have you heard from Devin LeMahieu? He basically said back, this is like beating a dead horse. He's not flipping his vote. Governor Evers has used the bully pulpit to kind of beat up on Senate Democrats. We have not seen him engage them individually to go out there and really kind of, okay, what do you need? How do I get you on board? That's not his forte. And he's not done that so far in this fight. So unless you see those things happening, it's probably not going to go forward.
Yeah, there's been weeks of fallout since the initial deal failed at the Capitol. What is the likelihood that there is a revote on this?
I'm just not seeing a real push right now. And for some Republicans, they're like, why would you do this? Think politically. I know it's hard to imagine that politics are involved in legislative decisions, but if you are a Senate Republican, you're facing a challenge to hold on the control of the Senate this fall. Jeff Smith over in the Eau Claire area, for example, he voted against the package. Don't you want the opportunity this fall to use that against Jeff Smith in the campaign? Robin Viney is a Democrat from Wauwatosa running for an open state Senate seat. You have the opportunity to use her vote against her this fall. Now, I don't know if that vote will outweigh the price of gas or Donald Trump's poll numbers, but there's fodder there. Some Republicans have argued to me of, hey, this is a good issue for us in some ways that maybe, yeah, it happened and it would be good for people if it did, but politically there's some benefit if you don't pass it to beat up on Democrats who voted against it.
Yeah, you mentioned the impact on those key Senate races coming up in November. Do you think that that's registering with voters?
You know, it's hard to say. Like the Marquette poll, I don't want to diminish the Marquette poll at all, but if you ask people, do you want free money? They're going to say yes. Like that's pretty much a guarantee, right? There is a challenge for Democrats and a message about why you voted against it. And if you're explaining in politics, you're often losing. So if you explain, hey, I know you're hurting right now, but I was concerned because this might cause a hole that we might not be able to get out of in the next budget. It's not a great argument. But again, does that break through when you're talking gas, which is, dip below $4 a gallon? If it's $4.50 in October, does that resonate more than a vote on a surplus bill that was going to give you $600 back? I don't know.
A lot to watch for. J.R. Ross, always great to have your insight and analysis. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, coming up, the proposed new recusal rule, the Wisconsin Supreme Court's public hearing. We'll take you there next.